Contestants to lock back in.
In the bag, cash out for the tough shells.
It'll be tough to crack the arm. Attack being put up by the tough shells.
And there's another vault available for our cash-hungry teams.
It's time to...
Kubla Khan received an ornate letter signed by Marco Polo.
Let's try to be quick today. I'm gonna go through a bunch of free Steam games I've played and tell you whether they actually worth your time. And yeah, some of them are definitely getting roasted. Keep in mind though, this is just my opinion. Whether a game clicks with you or not depends on a lot of things, even the mood you're in when you play it. The first time you jump into the finals, it's sensory overload. There's this constant commentary blasting in the background, fake over-the-top excitement, announcer yelling every 5 seconds. The whole thing feels like an American TV game show turned into a shooter. If you didn't grow up in the US, it's honestly kind of weird. It feels like someone mixed the Super Bowl with a reality show and then handed everyone assault rifles. It's a little overwhelming at first, but then you actually start moving, shooting and fighting, and you immediately get why people love this game. Mechanically, it feels fantastic. The weapons have great feedback, aiming is incredibly responsive, and it's approachable even if you don't spend 10 hours a day sweating in tactical shooters. Then you discover the real selling point, the destruction. You can literally collapse an entire building on the enemy team or blow open a wall to create your own escape route. Watching a physics and destruction system like this running in real time in an online multiplayer game honestly makes my head hurt just thinking about what the developers had to pull off. Synchronizing collapsing buildings, debris and physics across dozens of players with network latency involved is an absolute nightmare for both a programming and networking standpoint. And somehow it just works. The game launched at the end of 2023 and was developed by Embark Studios. That said, underneath all the flashy visuals, it's still a modern free-to-play game. You'll have matches where you dump an entire magazine into someone and somehow they just refuse to die, leaving you wondering what on earth just happened. Games like this aren't only designed to be fun, they're designed to keep you inside the progression loop. They want you logging back in, unlocking cosmetics, checking the shop, buying battle passes, chasing the next reward. That's just how the business model works. The game gives you a free ticket through the front door, then spends the rest of its life hoping you'll eventually open your wallet. But if we're talking purely about visuals and gunplay, this is easily the most polished game on today's list. A few years ago, I was completely addicted to Vigor. I had my regular squad online. Every evening we'd hop into matches together and have an absolute blast. The gameplay loop was just perfect. Huge maps set in post-apocalyptic Norway. One life. If you died, you lost everything you had collected during that run. Then you'd head back to your shelter, upgrade it with the resources you found, craft better gear, and get ready to risk it all again. Eventually, I had to stop playing. I was sinking way too many hours into it. And once a game starts feeling like a second job, it's probably time to take a break. Back then, I kept seeing people online complaining about technical issues, but honestly, I didn't really care. I was having fun. And then a while ago, I decided to reinstall it. I started over from scratch, curious to see how much it had improved. Instead, I found almost exactly the same problem, only worse. Servers crashing and a constant stream of players using cheats or third-party software. Cheating is one of the biggest diseases in online gaming. And when a game that's been around for years still struggles with stability and security, you can't help but feel like maintaining the game took a backseat to selling microtransactions. So why am I still recommending it? Because I still remember those evenings with my friends. The high-risk gameplay, where every single footstep could mean losing everything you've collected, creates a level of tension that very few games manage to replicate. If you can convince a few friends to jump in with you, it's absolutely worth experiencing, even with all the problems it's been dragging around for years. Then there are those wonderfully weird indie games that remind you why you fell in love with indie developers in the first place. Games that feel like someone took a single person's brain and somehow turned it into a video game. That's The Looker. On paper, it's a first-person puzzle game set on a mysterious island full of line-drawing puzzles, released in 2022. If you've played The Witness, you'll immediately understand what's going on, because The Looker is basically a hilarious parody of it. The whole game lasts maybe, 2 hours? It's packed with inside jokes about game design, surreal humor, and moments where it feels like the developer is trolling both you and the entire puzzle genre. You solve your first puzzle and think, okay, that's pretty funny. Then, before you know it, you've spent 2 straight hours playing because you're dying to see what ridiculous thing the developer comes up with next. It doesn't have the deepest mechanics in the world, but that's not the point. The game knows exactly what it wants to be. It doesn't pad itself with filler content just to make the playtime look longer. And by the end, it leaves you with the strange feeling that you've just been part of an elaborate joke created by someone who loves video games almost as much as they love making fun of them. Offpeak came out in 2015 and was created by Cosmo D. The first thing you'll notice if you boot it up today is, well, yeah, it definitely looks like a game from 2015. You're trapped inside this enormous train station that feels more like a cathedral than a station. Your goal is simple: find the tickets so you can leave the city. There are no gunfights or complicated puzzles. You just wander around and admire bizarre pieces of art or listen to strange conversations. And let the incredible soundtrack by Archipelago carry the entire experience. By the way, Archipelago is such a cool name. Games like this are really hard to explain to people who mostly play AAA releases. If you only watch gameplay footage, you might think absolutely nothing is happening. But that's not the point. The experience is all about atmosphere. It feels like walking through someone's surreal architectural dream for half an hour. When you're making games on your own, people constantly tell you the same things. Create a strong gameplay loop, give players clear objectives, reward them every few minutes. Offpeak couldn't care less about any of that. It gives you a place, it gives you incredible music, then it simply tells you to explore until you're done. And honestly, that's exactly why it still works all these years later. Brawlhalla launched back in 2017. A lot has changed since then. Platform fighters have come and gone. The genre has evolved, and yet this game is still here, constantly updated, millions of active players, competitive tournaments all over the world. It's technically not an indie game since Ubisoft is behind it. When it first launched, it made a huge impact because it offered a genuinely solid free alternative to games, bringing the genre to PC and eventually pretty much every platform with full crossplay support. Sure, if you look at it today, some of that original magic has faded. It's gone through the usual live service evolution, where the roster keeps growing forever with crossover characters with basically every franchise imaginable. But the core gameplay is still rock solid. The hitboxes feel good, the fights are fast, the online netcode holds up surprisingly well. It's probably not the kind of game you'll spend 12 hours a day grinding until your brain melts, but it's the perfect game to keep installed. Every once in a while you've got 15-3 minutes. Jump in, throw a few punches, beat up some random stranger on the internet, close the game, move with your day. And that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe. Check out some other games I've discovered on the channel, and thanks for watching.